Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Advanced Warfare in Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the huge patch that dropped on Xbox One this morning. It'll be coming to other systems very shortly. We have a lot of gun buffs and an ASM1 Nerf. The community really wanted that ASM1 Nerf, and we got it. The gameplay that you're going to get to see today is me using the ARX160 Assault Rifle, because I feel that they got one of the strongest buffs out of the entire patch, and it's now one of the better assault rifles. I may have not slept a whole lot, and you might call me crazy, but I might actually recommend it for competitive matches instead of the IMR. We'll talk about why later, but let's talk about the ASM1 Nerf. Previously, the first 8 rounds of every burst of the ASM1 would fire at 1000 RPM, and then it would drop down to 720 RPM. That was kind of the slowing down a chug 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 effect that you had when you were shooting your ASM1 and you held down the trigger. But if you just kept bursting it, it would 3-shot people very, very quickly. This was a problem, so Sledgehammer nerfed that down to a flat 720 RPM. So that slow rate of fire that you would get from holding down the trigger on the ASM1, that's now its base rate of fire. It's a slower firing submachine gun now. It still has the longest 3-shot kill range. It still is very accurate, and it's still a very dangerous submachine gun, but it doesn't nuke people quite like it used to. And if you want to compare it to something, statistically, it's almost identical to the MSMC from Black Ops 2. And I mean very, very similar. There are only minor differences in recoil and ranges, but statistically, they're almost like same gun, different skin. Very, very similar. So that's how the new ASM1 is going to feel, and it shouldn't nuke people right off the bat, but again, it is still very, very strong. The ARX160 got pretty massively buffed. We have a fire rate increase from 610 RPM all the way up to 900 RPM, and that's measured. That's kind of what I pulled from it. Bearing in mind, there's often quite big differences between what it's coded to do and what it actually does. It actually shoots at 900 RPM, and that is the speed of each little burst. The burst delay is the same. It still has the same amount of delay, but each burst is very, very fast. That's going to make it feel a lot better. And we also have a magazine size increase from 30 to 45. So the base magazine size now is what it used to be with extended mags, and if you put extended mags on it, that'll go all the way up to 67 rounds. And I'm going to tell you, it's a very good assault rifle now. They did not change the damage on the ARX, so it still has that really dumpy 3-shot kill range. You're not going to get hardly any one-burst kills unless you do headshot, but for some reason, that little change in fire rate made this gun feel way, way better. Again, maybe I haven't slept a whole lot. Maybe my measuring is wrong. Maybe something is going screwball. Maybe the ARX was a great gun and I didn't give it a fair shake to begin with, but I feel like this fire rate and magazine size buff really, really helped this gun out. And honest to goodness, I got up this morning and I sent DMs to all the NV crew telling them to try this out in competitive. It's probably not going to beat the BAL too often, definitely not in close quarters combat, but I do feel that the ARX now outperforms the IMR at most ranges. It's a very good assault rifle. I highly recommend you try it out. Very, very strong. Moving on, speaking of the BAL 27 was not changed as far as I could tell. I tested out all the stats on the BAL, all the simple ones, all the observable ones. I was not able to observe a difference with the BAL, nor was I able to test for a difference. I personally do not feel that this is a bad thing, as the BAL was not a problematic weapon. At least the base variant was very balanced inside the class. The Obsidian Steed I got on. The tryhards were out today with the new patch drop and everything. Obsidian Steed still very strong. Inferno still very strong. It's still got great variants, but the base version isn't as crazy, so if people don't have them, you won't see it. And if you're doing competitive, it'll still be the same old BAL. The next weapon that got a pretty massive buff was the AMR9. Its medium range damage increased, so its close range damage and its long range damage are still the same as far as I can tell, but the medium range damage increased from 6 shots to kill to 5 shots to kill, and that doesn't sound like very much, but it's a 5-round burst submachine gun, so the medium range used to mean that you couldn't kill in one burst, and now you can kill in one burst, and that is tremendously, amazingly, lovingly better, and it feels so much better. Oh man, it just makes the gun feel a lot more usable. But you also have a range increase on this weapon. The medium range increased from something like 8 meters all the way out to 20. So now you can one burst people if you hit all 5 of the shot, which I do confess is somewhat improbable because it does recoil and people move around, is about 20 meters. So if you catch somebody standing still or running at you, if you're just a good shot, you can one burst people with this submachine gun all the way to 20 meters. That's solid assault rifle range. Very, very good. However, it does affect some of the variants. The Pro Pipe is no longer as good because the damage buff that it had is not very useful anymore, since all the other variants have increased damage in their optimal ranges. But the Dynamo is now amazing. The Dynamo is going to be a godly little variant. Also keep an eye on the hip shot and express variants of the AMR9. Anything with increased rate of fire is going to be very, very dangerous. But that's not the only thing that they did to it. They actually changed the burst delay as well. The burst delay is decreased. It's a slight decrease on the burst delay, but you're going to feel it. It's not going to be as long of a pause between bursts, and it's going to feel like it's shooting more automatic. Going to feel a lot better there. Before I move on, I forgot to mention the variants on the ARX160. Again, quite sleepy right now, but the Hole Puncher and the Steel Bite are going to be amazing variants, especially the Hole Puncher. That is going to be a godly, absolutely godly variant of the ARX160. Now, that's going to be one of the top tier guns in the game, not like it wasn't already, but I would also tell you to keep an eye out on the Super Elite. The Super Elite variant, anything that has a rate of fire increase is going to be really good. I used it here in this gameplay, really, really strong. So Steel Bite, Hole Puncher, and Super Elite going to be very, very good variants for this weapon now. Some weapons that did not change, I tested these, they seem the same to me. I tested damage, range, rate of fire, etc., etc. The AK-12, the IMR, the KF5, the MP11, and SN6 do not appear to have changed. Some people have told me that they feel that there is less recoil on the KF5, that it doesn't kick as hard, and many people have told me that they feel that there is less recoil on the SN6. That's something that's very difficult to quantify and test and compare to previous versions of the game, and when I did it, I personally did not feel it. I couldn't see it, say it, or recommend it in this episode, so I'm going to say they're the same. If they received minor buffs, then I did not notice. Moving on, I'm also quite sure that there was a Mark 14 or MK14 buff. This, again, this is all hand testing very early in the morning, no official stats, trying very hard here, but as far as I can tell, the MK14 got a decrease in recoil. It already was rather accurate to begin with. Now it's extremely accurate. It kicks very little. I might be hallucinating, but it might sway just a little bit. And it also seems to have a rate of fire increase. It is way just better feeling with my trigger finger. It doesn't oversample nearly as hard, nearly as much as it used to. I don't think it's a huge rate of fire increase, but I think it's a small one, and I think it's there to increase the comfort with your trigger finger. Again, I could be totally wrong here because I can't test semi-automatic because human fingers are prone to error, so that kind of screws up my testing. But I do think it's better. It felt better. I would highly recommend that you try it. Get back to me, tell me in the comments, let me know what's going on with it, but I think it was also buffed. One last buff to mention today, one that almost went forgotten. The Atlas 45 pistol got a range and damage increase. It now can 3-shot kill. Previously, it was either 2 or 4, and the 2-shot kill range was right in their face, so it was pretty much always a 4-shot kill, and the range on it was nothing spectacular. Now it 3-shot kills at pretty significant ranges, and it feels much better. It feels more usable. It feels like a pistol that I might actually use. Again, we have a range and damage increase on this pistol. I recommend that you try it out. It might actually be a solid secondary now. Oh, I almost forgot. The EPM3 got its recoil reduced. Again, it now kicks even less. Eventually, this might become a good gun because it's been buffed in every single patch. It kicks even less now, and it's still a 3-shot kill at all ranges, so maybe it's good. It still has that kind of annoying flash, so I didn't really want to try it because it's usually pain when I try that gun, but less recoil is good, right? Still a buff. As for what I think about this patch/update, at least as far as the weapons are concerned, I feel that it was an overall good change. I feel like the ASM1 definitely needed a nerf, either a fire rate or a range nerf. It got a fire rate nerf. I felt like the bow was fine, it wasn't touched, and I felt like a lot of these other guns, especially the AMR9, EPM3, ARX, and Atlas 45 of all weapons, oh, and Mark 14, the ones that really, really needed it, they got the buffs that they needed. They're good guns now, especially the ARX, very good. Overall, I feel like the balancing change is going to help a lot, and I think that you might even see a few changes in the competitive scene if the ARX picks up popularity, or again, maybe I just haven't had enough sleep tonight. Guys, that's all for this episode of In Depth. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something useful. The previous episode was on the ASM1 Magnitude, and the next episode is going to be an absolutely crazy episode on the new Ohm. It's the heavy weapon hybrid LMG shotgun Ohm that came out with this patch. It's absolutely bananas, and I highly recommend you check it out. As always, if you enjoyed, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, hear me shout. Tip me over and pour me out.